When the truckers came to Ottawa in a convoy, it was to help the people, show the people the freedom. That is the most important thing that they did for us. And so I fully supported them. It was a convoy of freedom that we came to Ottawa.
I'm Michael. I live downtown Ottawa, and I am an Algonquin Indian. I'm going to talk about the 2022 Freedom Convoy. Some of these experiences are deeply personal, but I owe it to you, the truckers, for making those possible, for making these small miracles possible. Ottawa is built on a historical Algonquin meeting place where nations have gathered here for hundreds of years. Dignitaries still today come here from around the world. And for every Canadian, this is your capital city. It's a place for celebration, commerce, diplomacy, politics, including the right to peacefully assemble and the right to peacefully protest. Now, I watched the Freedom Convoy converge from the west, from the east, from the south, and from the north, where every city, village, small town converged upon their capital city. The Freedom Convoy was a renewal of this very important historical Algonquin meeting place. All right, January 28th. The first thing I remember about that morning were the two Fendt farm tractors, the two green tractors, bombing up Wellington Street. I saw them. They had all their flags on the tractors, fluttering in the wind, and those tractors, man, were full throttle. And the big tires were just turning. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like this, they're really coming. This is really happening. At noon, I had to go out. I had a barber's appointment. And I drove back up Wellington on purpose because I wanted to see what was happening. And by this time, there were some trucks lining up on the north side of Wellington, just across, facing Parliament. And there were protesters and lots of flags. I would say maybe 100 people, maybe. Leave the barbershop. I came back around 1 o'clock, pretty much at 1 o'clock, down Wellington again. And by this time, there was about 200 protesters. And there was lots of vehicles. They were lapping and looping. And I was like, wow, okay, there's really a protest happening. And came back home. And that afternoon, I put my boots on, put on my coat, and headed back out. And at that moment, I remember I saw the gentleman from Port Hope, who has the most famous tractor trailer in the world. And I remember thinking, what's painted down the side, right? And you just don't see that around here. You don't see that anywhere. And I remember thinking, holy And I remember taking a selfie. I took a selfie and I sent it to my uncle because it was so unbelievable. Like, oh my God! Like, hey uncle, there's this sign. Oh my God! Like, and I remember thinking, this guy's got to be the baddest man. Like, I was actually kind of like not even sure if I should go talk to him or whatever. But anyways, I head back up, and there's more and more traffic. By this time, it was really heavy. And just out of the blue, one of the cars coming down, I see my friend Nat, who I hadn't seen in years. And she's just like, she's filming the crowd on the side of the road, just like this, and just totally in awe. Like, oh my God, I know. And I was thinking the same thing, So I went over and said hello and, connected again. It was really nice, nice to see you. And then I walked up towards Elgin Street, and it was a really busy place where vehicles they were looping there too. And by this time, the trucks started to honk their air horns, jaking down. And you got to remember, I mean, we've been locked up for 2 years, right? So you don't see anything, you don't hear anything, and all of a sudden there's like a lot of this activity, all this commotion, right? Just, oh my God. So I spent some time there, and it was cold. You got to remember, it was cold. It was, yeah, you got to put things in perspective. Today, spring is here, and it feels okay. But this was the end of January, man. So I came back down, and for some reason, I came back down Wellington, and for some reason, I headed down Kent. For some reason, right? And I'm walking down the sidewalk, and I'm walking south on Kent, and it's I don't know if it's 3 lanes or 4 lanes, but I think it's 3 lanes. Anyhow, it was like gridlock, like 2019. Okay, and I'm walking down the sidewalk, and for some reason, there's not very many people on the sidewalk. Okay, so I make my way, and I don't know why, I just start waving at people. Okay, and there were cars, trucks, big rigs with signs, with flags, and everybody was waving back. And it was just such a surreal experience, right? And I felt like for some blocks I would walk, and I'd be all alone, and I'd just be waving like this, like just totally giddy at what was happening. And I was talking to ask some people, where are you from? And they would say, we're from Ajax, we're from Toronto, we're from Hamilton, and up the line, we're from Timmins, Sudbury, Kenora, Thunder Bay, and just every small town west, right? And along the way, I remember there were some people at restaurants, and they had these, specifically, there was one moment about halfway down, they had 3 giant Rubbermaid containers filled with sandwiches and wraps. And these guys, they were handing them out to every vehicle as fast as they could, making sure they got not only the guys closest to them on the sidewalk, but to the vehicles in the middle lane and to the one in the far lane. And you just don't see that. And it really, I noticed it. So I keep walking, and by this time, I've been walking for hours, right? So I'm walking down Kent, which is about, I don't know if it's maybe 3 kilometers to the highway, but I was really tired by this time. I've been walking for hours, all day, felt like. And I get near the highway, and it just seemed like it never ended. I called my girlfriend, and I said, holy. She said, what? I said, you're not going to believe this. I've just walked down all the way down Kent, and it's like, it's insane. Like, what's going on? There's this huge convoy coming, right? So I said, I got to call you back. So I hang up, and by this time I get to the highway, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go under the underpass where I can see the off-ramp from the highway coming west, right? So I go underneath, And as I turn around, I look up like this, and I could see the on-ramp from the highway, and it comes down like this. And I said, holy fuck. It was just trucks. It was just trucks. The highway was jammed with trucks. And for some reason, right dead center, for some reason, this one truck that was red, and it had, black tinted windows, but it was red, and it had those sun visors like this, like on the window. And it just looked like a really mean truck, right? And I was just stunned. I actually paused just to, process everything. So I come back under the overpass, get back on Kent, and I call up my girlfriend again. And she said, what's going on? I said, holy fuck. She said, what? I said, every truck in the country is here. And she's like, what? I said, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Every truck in the country is here. Right? So hang up the phone, walked all the way up Kent, and I walked back home, and I started calling my friends, and some of them were in the know, some of them weren't. Called up Bobby from Oka, and he was on top of it, right? He's already like, oh no, you don't understand, Michael. There's a convoy coming from Quebec, and it's stopping here, and it's going to stop in Montreal, and we're going to link up with them, and we're coming on Saturday. Oh yeah. So man. All right. January 29th, Saturday. Get up. Put on my snow pants, put on my parka, my toque, bundle right up, because it was one of the coldest days of the year, right? It's the kind of day that nobody goes out in. It's just so cold. And before I head out, I look out the window, and you can see like all along here, like everywhere where there was, where there's grass in the summertime, mediums, on the street, where they push snow up on the side of the road in the wintertime. There was pickup trucks backed up. Everywhere where there was even like a little spot to park, there was a vehicle there with flags on it, right? Go across the street to Wellington, and right away I noticed there was like just people everywhere, and they were all walking towards the hill, all in one direction, and they were wearing flags like capes. A lot of people had signs. They would carry flags on a pole. And it was, for the first moment, I remember thinking, this feels kind of serious, because everyone was marching. Nobody was slow walking. I remember everyone was marching. Like every step was with a purpose, and it seemed like everybody knew where they were going and why they were going there. That was the impression I got. By this time, all the trucks have stopped driving. It was just, I think they used that term, stack the trucks. Well, they were stacked, okay? And it was just jammed. And so, I head up towards the hill, and I start walking in between the trucks, right? And another thought I had was, oh shit, I'm actually allowed to walk in between the trucks, and nobody's giving me shit for not being on the sidewalk or something like that. You got to remember, this is how it is here, right? And you could hear the diesel engines, you could smell the diesel. They were high idling, and for me, the grease, the diesel, the sounds, it immediately brought me back to my youth on the farm, and I was just immediately I felt like. It felt familiar, it felt good. And as we got closer and closer, you know, the honking. This was in the morning, right? So the honking was getting more frequent. Felt like it was getting louder. I remember there was one truck, man. He had 2 yellow container bins. That was his trailer. And man, this guy had an air horn. I kind of didn't want to go near him because it was so loud that I just I would just start shaking like like this, right? And man, there was a lot of people there. And when you got closer to the center, it was just, it was, no Canada Day could compare to it. And you got to remember, it's like it was like minus 30 with the wind chill. It was cold, right? Met up with my buddy Bobby. So, hey Bobby, how's it going? And he came down with Serge from Oka. And by this time they closed 2 of the bridges. He came on the Quebec side and he had to walk across that bridge. And just to give you, I'm going to recognize you, man. 75 years old, walked with a cane. He was on the Quebec side and he walked across that bridge over the Ottawa River. And it was blowing cold, man. Really cold, and he would, he'd come a little ways and he'd stop and he'd rest his legs, and Bobby kept coming and he made his way, he made it. He was here, and so we visited, looked around, took lots of pictures. It was fantastic, right? And there's some steps there in between the hotel and the canal locks, right? Nobody uses that. I mean, who walks there? Nobody. So we get there, and as I cross the top of the locks, I look down, and there was an ocean of people, like an ocean of people like I've never seen. And they weren't all jammed up. Like they were flowing. Like there was so many people braved the cold and crossed that bridge by foot. And it's like, I don't know if it's 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers long, that bridge, but it's not a little bridge. If you're not from here, it's a good sized bridge. And so many people from Quebec were coming, man. And they were just smiles out to here. And it was just a steady stream of people. All had their flags, and you could just feel it, right? So he and I walked him down to the other side, and his legs needed a rest, so he sat down on a little bench there and watching people go by. And my buddy JM, out of nowhere, you know what I mein? Hey Mike, what's going on? And I'm like, oh my God, there's another blast from the past, So I said my goodbyes to Bobby, and I walked back up with JM. Hey, nice to see you again, man. And he's like, I saw your post, and I said, it's the least we could do, right? So I was like, right on, man. I'm really glad you came. And, we walked back up to the top. And at that moment, there was a truck, and like a logging truck, tractor trailer with these big logs on it, right? And it was just so many people. Everyone was climbing up on it, waving their flags, right? And they had a stage. There was music. It was Canada Day, like I said. Like, don't even talk to me about Canada Day. This they could have never organized anything like this. This was like everybody says you had to be here. You really did. Fine. It's just hard to describe, but it was pretty fantastic. It was pretty fantastic, I'll tell you that. Walked back with JM, And I get down near the War Museum, and there's Sir John A. Macdonald Boulevard there, right? And I'm cold and I'm tired, but I see all these other trucks all lined up. And I said, well, you know what? They came here, so I'm gonna go say hello to them. I'm gonna make the effort to go see them. Because not everyone can be on the hill, and they're just as important. So I go across the street to Sir John A. And I started welcoming the truckers. And I went from truck to truck, and there was people there that I met from all over the country, man. Like Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, Calgary, Edmonton, Prince George, Prince Rupert, like Vancouver. And there was a lot of East Coasters there. So I really want to give a shout out to the Maritimers. A lot of people from Nova Scotia, a lot of people from New Brunswick, people from Newfoundland. And every trucker took the time to roll down his window or open their door and have a pleasant chat. And I said, I live right next door here. So I wanted to personally thank you for being here, and welcome to Ottawa. This is make yourself right at home. And I did that to every truck. And I went up the first hill, and I said, I'm going to go a little ways. And I went up the first hill, and then when I looked down, there was more trucks. I mean, we're talking bumper to bumper here. I was like, oh my God. So I say, well, I'm going to do one more little stretch here down the valley, up to the next peak, up to the next little hill, and we'll see what happens. So I go to every truck, and I get to the next hill, and there's more trucks, and I get to the next hill, and there's more trucks, and from here to the Island Park Bridge, it's maybe I don't know if it's 6 or 7 kilometers, 8 kilometers. But I stopped by every truck, and it took me, I remember, 3 hours to go from truck to truck.
Yeah, 10 kilometers back. 10 kilometers back. I walked the whole way. It took me almost 3 hours. I stopped and I thanked everyone. I said, wherever you're from, you are at home. Stay as long as you can. Thank you for coming. And it was as far as the eye could see.
It was so cold that near the end, they probably thought, this guy, maybe there's something wrong with him because he can't talk very well, because my beard was frozen in ice. and I was still trying to be, welcoming and say welcome. And by the end, man, I could barely even open my mouth because it was just ice. It was so cold. But when I got near the end, there was one gentleman from Manitoba, and we had a little chat, and he says, hey, I got a little hibachi. I got some barbecues cooking on the back of my rig. So would you like a hamburger? And I said, yes, I would. Yes, I would. And so we went back to the back of his truck, and he had a little hibachi, or like a little barbecue, and it was welded to the back of his frame. And he was cooking hamburgers there. And, he had a lovely wife, and she asked me what I wanted on the hamburger. And the way they do it is they don't bring the condiments out. They prepare your bun inside the cab, and then they bring your bun out with whatever you want on it. And I never seen that done before, but good idea, right? So gave me my burger and had a nice visit from Manitoba. And I thought, man, when's the last time a stranger offered me a hamburger? And it really, I'll always remember that. I also met the gentleman who had the boat. It said "Sink all mandates" down the side. It was a sailboat, and he trailered that. It was a flatbed, and he had a giant sailboat, and he drove all the way from British Columbia with this, and down the side of the sailboat said "Sink all mandates," and he was there, and I met him. And anyhow, I get all the way to the back to where the police, they weren't even letting anybody in. So this is back to I think the Island Park Bridge it is. So I start walking back, and I mean, it's pitch black, and it's just a little, this happened, right? So every 8 or 10 trucks, it's pitch black. They would just turn on their lights for me while I walked. And when I would get out of sight, another truck would turn on its lights just to illuminate my path. And they did that the whole way. And I came home that night, and my God, it was cold. I just took a steam shower, called my girlfriend again, told her about the whole day, man. It was, I could barely sleep. I remember I went to bed that night, and my ears were ringing. They were ringing from the horns. And I just couldn't wait for Sunday morning to go back again. And that's what I did. Yeah, I remember Sunday morning too, I went down Kent. And one thing I saw too was, I don't know, a kid, a young fellow. I got a white beard, I can say that now. Maybe he was 14 or 15 or 16, but he was riding a bicycle. And on the side of his handlebars, he had a clear bag. And in that bag, there was 5 or 6 little fried chicken box dinners. And I recognized them right away because I love fried chicken, right? I recognized the boxes. But he rolled up, and he got off his bike, and then he put his bike against himself, and he went to every truck. He said, "Would you like to have a meal?" So that really struck me. Man, every day something happened. I remember they were interviewing one fellow, 2 guys actually, 2 guys from Montreal, I think it was, and they had a pickup, and they came here with a trailer, a trailer like you could fit like maybe 6 ATVs in the back, like one of those, right? And these are the guys that when they pulled up in their truck, they took all the tires off the truck. They just dropped the truck right on the asphalt, and it was like, we're staying. You know what I mean? Anyhow, I see these guys on the live stream, but I remember it was cold, and it was early in the beginning, and they said that they were running out of wood because they had a little stove in their trailer. And right away I jumped up, and I mean, you live in a condo downtown, who's got wood? So I found 2 planks. I had 2 planks of wood here. So I get dressed again, put on my snow pants and my parka, and I think maybe it was a week. I think it was a weekend, because by this time you had to be kind of, if you were taking anything in or out, it could have been an issue. But anyhow, put my planks down the front of my snow pants, and I had 2 little propane containers, still like half full, but you could still hear it swish inside, right? But I'm like, hey, it'll buy them some time. So I head back out, and I find the guys, and I told them, hey, I just saw you on the live stream. I was, apologetic. I said, look, it's all I got, but it's something, right? It'll buy you some time. And so the gentleman, he asked me my name, and he said his name was Gabriel. And I'll always remember that when I handed him the wood, he took the wood like this, like it was really, like he really appreciated it. You know what I mean? And I kept apologizing that I wish I didn't have more. And he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, "It's going to be okay," because he said, "Look, someone brought some wood, and there was a cart. Within literally, it took me 15 minutes to get there, and there was a cart there already. Someone else had seen with freshly cut firewood, like cordwood. Where do you find cordwood on Parliament Hill. But it showed up, right? Man, early on too, I was walking so much that my knees started to hurt. And this one guy out of nowhere, he comes up to me, just someone who really looked like he was at peace with things, and says, "I noticed you got a bit of a limp there." And I said, "Yes." And he asked me, "Can I pray for you?" And I said, "Man, if you want to pray for me, I can use all the prayers you can muster, right?" so, so, so he put his hand on my shoulder and hand on my chest, and he said, "Dear God, our Lord Jesus Christ, we thank you for Michael." And he prayed for me. And I was walking back, and I swear to God, my knee felt better. It felt better. And when I got home, so that happened, and a really personal moment, but the truckers, you have to know that happened because you made that happen. You made that possible. Another thing I noticed was the speed the convoy arrived, and everything just seemed to fit together like a puzzle. It was like a military plan with military precision just unfolding. And I specifically remember thinking, every trucker here must know each other. Every trucker in Canada must be on a first name basis. I remember thinking that because it just seemed like everything was happening. Everybody was busy. It was just like a beehive of activity, and it just seemed like everything was gelling together. There was never, you get people from all over the country, show up in one place. There wasn't one little thorn or a barb at all. It was just everybody was pulling together in the same direction. So yeah, I thought for that moment, man, all these guys, they must all know each other because there's no other way this could work, right? Across the street from the Supreme Court, I remember people would play hockey there, and fathers would play hockey with their kids, with their sons, their daughters. And just near there was a man in a white Peterbilt, and on the front of his bumper, it read "Cowboy Rules." And that's where I met Spencer. Yeah, my friend Spencer. Hey Spencer, how's it going, man? I remember one night I put together a little care package for him just to get him through the night, and I put it in a honeycomb box, a cereal, just the box, and I put some things in there I thought he might like, and I wrote a little note, and I walked it to him one night. It was like, I don't know if it was 10:30 at night or something like that, but I stroll up, and sure enough, he's out there, recognized me right away, and he let us sign his truck too. The driver's side headlight, there's like a chrome piece, and we signed it, me and my girlfriend, right in the middle there, right by the front headlight. So I know he got the whole truck covered to preserve the signatures. Man, everybody signed that truck. It was just like a canvas of signatures. From the front to the end to the top. It was really cool, man. And so I think he had it ceramic coated to preserve the signatures. But somewhere out in Saskatchewan, man, yeah, our signatures are there. So that's pretty nice. And that's another thing too, right? There was a lot of young truckers, and I was and am just so impressed by how sophisticated, how mature, how articulate all the truckers, all of them, but what specifically stood out to me were the younger guys. It really impressed me, and everybody was, and that's another thing too about how this whole thing came together. It was so professional. I mean, real professionals, truckers, real professionals. And another thing I was thinking about was there's no other group pool in the labor force that could have pulled that off. Nobody. I mean, who else? Who else could have done that? I mean, only the truckers. You're the only ones that could have pulled it off, and you did. Man, I was talking about how many people were there. There, well over 1 million people came. Well over 1 million, at least 1 million, if not more. There were always crowds of people around every truck. Everyone wanted, to show their gratitude to the truckers, to talk with them. And I noticed each and every trucker was such a just a fantastic ambassador for the convoy. It's what you were. You were an ambassador for the convoy. And what marked me, I noticed every trucker. I mean, there could have been, 100 people around the truck, but he was talking to that one person, and they would talk to people all day long. And I don't care who you are, you know what I mean? But they would talk to that one person like that was the most important person to them in their life. Just, eye contact, very attentive, just very articulate, very pleasant. And it was, they took the time to talk to everybody. Every truck you went up to, they'd roll the window down, and they would just be just so happy to talk, to talk with you. I would walk around. I mean, some days I would go morning, sometimes I'd go at lunch, and sometimes I'd go in the evening. And if I didn't have anything to offer, I thought, I'll offer a smile and a wave. And a lot of the trucks, they had tinted windows. So sometimes you'd walk by, sometimes there'd be nobody in it, so you kind of like to see, by waving to myself here. But yeah, I would go and I would always wave to the truckers, and I just give them the salute, you know what I mean? And always thank them. Told them I was a resident. Some people were kind of surprised that oh, you live right here and you don't mind? I'm like, mind, man. I'm like, you guys. I'm one of the people I heard afterwards, the truckers. I've seen some interviews where they would say people would ask them not to leave, and that really struck me because in the beginning, it just came out. I was talking to one gentleman. It was an emotional moment, and I shook his hand, and it just came out. I said, please don't leave. Please don't leave us. It just came out, and he said, don't worry, we're staying. We're not going anywhere. And that was it was a very reassuring moment. People would say, we didn't come from Vancouver to spend the weekend, right? I met Rooster, Rob, on Kent Street, and a couple people would ask me to do like a cameo with them, like a little video, my views as a resident. And I remember one gentleman asked me, I think like the first couple of days out front of the Holiday Inn, just up the hill here. He was in a Dodge Ram, and I wasn't prepared. And so if you're watching this and you see maybe you recognize yourself, I want to apologize to you. I politely declined only because I hadn't really contemplated it, right? But after that night, I really thought long and hard. And so every time someone would ask me to, what are my views? it was all positive, man. Absolutely. Yeah, no problem at all here, yeah, we'll do it. And so, I did a little clip with Rob, and that was really nice. And introduced me to the guy next door in a white truck. He says, hey, this is Michael. He comes by here every day. And the other guy says, I know. I've only met him about 5 times. Well, yeah, no, it's just, it was always fun, always fun. One Saturday, my girlfriend and I, we went down and we put together a big box. And that day we're going to go, provide, a different type of support. And so we go to truck, and they let her blow the air horn. It was just, we just had so much fun that day. I'll always remember it. One truck we went up to offer, and he politely declined. He was good, no problem at all. But he said, I got something for you though. And so he each gave us this t-shirt here, this sweater. So he gave us one each, and that was really nice. So thank you very much. And Valentine's Day was a big day. I remember that noon I went out, and the trucks all, like, if there was nobody in that truck, someone would leave just cards on the windows, and on the steps there'd be little Valentine's Day gift cards, little gift bags with chocolates in them, like tons, like wow, it was really painted the day red. It was really nice. And that night, I was having a quick chat with someone, and it was another emotional moment. I mean, there were so many emotional experiences, right? And again, if you were there, you'll know what I mean. But I just turned around, and there was a young girl. I remember she was having a smoke like this, a young lady, and tapped me on the shoulder. And when I turned around, she gave me this, hey, warrior, keep going. Right? I also met Viva Fry, spoke to him a few times, and did one interview with him. Man, it was in the very beginning, and I just totally just let him have it, right? in a good way. And so he cut that out, and he made a separate clip for it, and it got like 60,000 views. My God.
And I wanted to come out, and I'm glad you came down. You can't see it, but it's about 10 kilometers down the road. And the other night they were starting.
Hold on, 10 kilometers long or 10 kilometers back?
10 kilometers back. I walked the whole way. It took me almost 3 hours. I stopped and I thanked everyone. I said, wherever you're from, you are at home. Stay as long as you can. Thank you for coming. And it was as far as the eye can see. You can't see it, but I'm glad you came down because I was watching you. And I was like, keep going, keep going.
No, I almost turned back halfway.
I know, I saw that. And they got him started.
7 or 8 kilometers long of Convoy.
Oh, all the way to the Island Park Bridge. And they're all parked on the side of the road.